Another part of coordinate geometry that they like to ask you is to work out the slope of a line. So when you see the word slope, right, if I asked you in English the word slope, like if I said this floor here sloped, what would it mean? So it would mean that it kind of tilted down, or there was a bit of a slant to it, right? So they're basically asking you, when you see slope, think steep, right? Steep is your little kind of cheat word for that, right? So how steep something is. So if you imagine that this line here is like a hill, and they're asking you, what's the slope like on this, from this point to this point, on this line here? How steep is it? That's what they want you to work out. So there's an equation for it. Again, it's in your log tables, so you don't need to learn it off by heart. So slope in maths, they call slope m. Don't ask me why. Some genius came up with that and decided that for short slope was going to be called m. And what you do is you say y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So basically it's a ratio. So it's the difference in your y coordinates divided by the difference in your x coordinates. And that's going to tell you how big or small the slope is in your line on your graph. So let's say they gave you this graph and you had to read off it. So you need two sets of points or two sets of coordinates, yeah? So if we were to read this one, it'd be 2, 2. You read the x first and then the y. And then this coordinate is going to be minus 2, because it's down in that quadrant there. So minus 2, minus 2. So great, now we have our two coordinates, x, y and x, y. So let's label them. I'm going to call this x1, y1. I'm going to call this x2, y2. And now all we have to do is sub them in. So y2 is this one here. So we're going to write minus 2. y1 is this one here. So we're going to put minus 2. So it's minus 2 minus 2. Okay, we're subbing in. Divided by x2, which is minus 2 as well, minus our x1, which is 2. So let's work it out. Again, if all these minuses wreck your head, basically, put them into a calculator. You're allowed a calculator for a reason. Double check them and see what you get. But you should be able to do them. It's just like reading off a number line. So minus 2 will give you minus 4. And it's the same on the bottom. Look, minus 2 will give you minus 4. So 4 into 4 goes once. And like your rules of multiplying or dividing integers, if they're both negative, your answer has to be positive. So in this case, our slope is equal to 1. So basically, if we were to put a number on that slope, it would be 1. Okay? Now, these can be fractions as well. Sometimes your slope can be a half or it can be 3/4. Okay, so don't be afraid if you get an answer like that's a fraction and you think you've gone wrong. You probably haven't. But you should be able to have some kind of an idea as to whether your answer is right or not. So basically, if your slope is a positive number, which this is, your line should be going up like this. Okay, does that make sense? Because if you were climbing up this, okay, you'd be going up. So that should be a positive number. Now, if your slope is going the other way, down like this, let's say the 2 points they gave you were here and here or something. And if we join them together, this line is going downwards. Okay, so we always read our line, the slope of our line from left to right, like we'd read a book. So if we go from here to here, we're going downwards. So our slope, our answer should end up being negative in that case. Now, a lot of the time they say, work out the slope for this, and then a little part B might ask you, draw a slope that on this graph that's greater than the one shown. So if they want you to draw a slope that's greater than the one shown, this is the one shown, and that's 1. Yeah, we worked out that the slope was 1 for this particular line. If they want it to be greater, the slope has to be greater, so it has to be steeper. So imagine if you were at this point, let's call it A, right? And this was a hill and you were climbing up the hill and you wanted to go up a steeper hill. It would have to go, and you were starting here, a steeper one would have to go up like that, wouldn't it? So that's all they're looking for you to do. They're literally looking for you just to draw a line where the slope is bigger or greater, so it's going to be more steep. So this hill to climb up is much steeper than this one. So if you draw anything that's in this direction, you're going to get the marks for it, because that's right. Any of these are going to be steeper than this one. Likewise, if they asked you to draw a line where the slope was less or smaller than this one, you'd be climbing up a less steep hill. So you'd have to draw a line like that. Yeah? And what if they gave you, sometimes they like to give you a few different slopes, and they draw them out and then they give you a little grid, kind of a table to fill in, and they say, oh, which one matches up. So if you had something like this, let's say that was another line they gave you, and they wanted to know what the slope of that would be. So this one, it just goes straight across. It doesn't slope at all, so it's not steep. So that means your slope, if you were to put a number on it and plug it in to this formula and work it all out, your slope for that would have to be 0. Yeah? Because it's just straight across. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. It would have to end up just being 0, because it doesn't slope, basically. It's not steep. It just goes straight across. Okay?